শুভ সন্ধ্যা সবাইকে। আরঙ্গ নিউজের পক্ষ থেকে সবাইকে শুভেচ্ছা। সম্প্রতি আর্নিমা হায়াতের নৃশংস হত্যাকাণ্ডের প্রতি তীব্র প্রতিবাদ জানাতে ও পারিবারিক সহিংসতা প্রতিরোধ জনমত বাড়াতে আরঙ্গ নিউজ ও মিডিয়া অনলাইনে আজকের এই আলোচনা অনুষ্ঠান আয়োজন করে। আরঙ্গ আয়োজিত গল্পকথা স্টোরি টেলিং অনুষ্ঠানের এবারের আলোচ্য বিষয় না বলতে শিখুন। লার্ন টু সে নো। নারী ও শিশুর প্রতি সহ যে কোনো সহিংসতাকে না করবার আহ্বান জানিয়ে এবং প্রতিহত করবার জন্য সবাইকে উৎসাহিত করতে এই বিষয়ে আমরা আজকে আলোচনা করব। আরঙ্গ নিউজ ও মিডিয়া পোর্টাল এবং ফেসবুক পেজ থেকে সরাসরি সম্প্রচারিত হচ্ছে, তাই অনুরোধ করব আপনারা লাইভটি বেশি বেশি করে শেয়ার করুন এবং গুরুত্বপূর্ণ বিষয়গুলো সবাইকে জানবার ও দেখবার সুযোগ করে দিন। পৃথিবীর নিকৃষ্ট বিশ্বাসঘাতকতার শিকার হয়ে আর্নিমা হায়াত পৃথিবী ছেড়ে চলে গেছে। আর্নিমার শরীরের আঘাতগুলো এতটাই খারাপ ছিল এবং তার দেহাবশেষ এতটাই ধ্বংস হয়ে গিয়েছিল যে পরিবার তাকে দাফনের আগে শেষবারের মতো দেখতে পারেনি। তার পরিবারের প্রতি, তার পরিবারের সদস্যদের প্রতি এই অসহনীয় যন্ত্রণা বয়ে বেড়াবার আমাদের সেই সহানুভূতি জানাবার ভাষা নেই। এই ক্ষত অপূরণীয়। শোক সন্তপ্ত পরিবারের প্রতি আমরা সমবেদনা জানাচ্ছি। আমাদের এই তথাকথিত সমাজে পারিবারিক কলহ নিত্য নৈমিত্তিক ব্যাপার ও পারিবারিক সহিংসতা একটি গোপনীয় অত্যাচারের চূড়ান্ত রূপ। এই সহিংসতাকে এখনই পরাস্ত করার সার্বিক ব্যবস্থা না করলে আমাদের জন্য আরো ভয়াবহ পরিণতি অপেক্ষা করছে। আজকের আমাদের মাঝে সম্মানিত কয়েকজন অতিথি উপস্থিত আছেন, যাদের কাছ থেকে আমরা এই বিষয়ে জানবো এবং বিভিন্ন এক্সপেরিয়েন্স তারা আমাদেরকে শেয়ার করবেন। সেখান থেকে আমরা অনেক বিষয়গুলো নিয়ে পরবর্তীতে কাজ করবার উৎসাহ পাবো। আমি যেই বিষয়টাতে কথা বলতে চাচ্ছিলাম সেটা হচ্ছে ফ্যামিলি ভায়োলেন্স। এটাকে আমরা কিভাবে ডেফিনেশন হিসেবে জানি বা আমরা ফ্যামিলি ভায়োলেন্স বলতে স্পেসিফিকলি কোন বিষয়গুলো বুঝি সেটা নিয়ে আমি কথা বলতে চাচ্ছিলাম। আমি বলতে চাচ্ছিলাম যে ফ্যামিলি ভায়োলেন্স ইজ ভায়োলেন্স বিটুইন ফ্যামিলি মেম্বার্স such as between parents and children, siblings and intimate partners. Domestic violence is a type of family violence that occurs specifically between current or former intimate partners. Both family violence and domestic violence include various behaviors, and we really don't know what type of main of the topic. We can only see that hit or abused, but abuse can be in different way. Physical violence, hitting, choking, use of weapons, or emotional abuse, also known as physical abuse, or humiliating, or some cases controlling excess in finance, monitoring movements, isolating from friends and families, that also included the family violence. And in Australia, the most recent Australian Bureau of Statistics, ABS, Personal Safety Survey, PCS, in 2026, indicated that since the age of 15, one woman out of 6, they are actually physically or sexually facing violence, and one man out of 16. In also other way emotional abuse, we can find that one woman out of 4 and one man out of 6, they are facing the same stage since the age of 15. Not only that, we can see that one woman out of 5, they are facing the sexual violence, and of course only one man in 20. So looking at that, beside that statistics, 3.1% of Australian children received child protection services just due to domestic violence. Other social and cultural factors also actually allowing this violence in different angles. Also, it's a kind of a people can make more at risk who are migrated, newly migrated, or not having enough knowledge of different type of services. They are not confident or comfortable. Somehow they are not being able to share their all these sort of domestic issues. And now all these area that we will be covering through our speakers. We will talk to our speakers. I would love to introduce each speakers individually. I will introduce these speakers, and once they are coming, they will talk about what they are finding at this moment, as well as they will share their experience, and they will answer questions that you will be giving. Before I do that, I have a short video to show you, and I will play that video and I will come back and introduce our speakers. I really appreciate your patience. Thank you. আমি যে ভিডিওটি সম্প্রচার করলাম এখন, সেই ভিডিওটির মাধ্যমে বোঝানো যায় ফ্যামিলি ভায়োলেন্স কি, ডোমেস্টিক ভায়োলেন্স কি, অ্যান্ড প্রত্যেকটা বডি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ দিয়েই আমরা বুঝতে পারি যে এইগুলা ভায়োলেন্সের কোন পর্যায়ে পড়ে। আমাদের মাঝে যেসব স্পিকাররা আছেন, আজকে আমি তাদেরকে সবাইকে এখন আমাদের স্ক্রিনে আনবো, এবং আমি সবার কাছ থেকে কথাগুলো শুনতে চাই। আপনাদের কোনো কথা বা প্রশ্ন থাকলে সেটিও আমরা তাদের কাছ থেকে জানতে চাই। I would like to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest. I will start with Dr. Fahima Sattar. Fahima is working as a general practitioner since 2009, working in Bochum Hill Medical Dental Clinic in Bochum Hills. Her main field of interest, women and children. She is involved in Bangladesh Medical Society of New South Wales for last 7 years. She is involved in Bangladesh medical community as well as Bangladeshi communities strongly, culturally, and she is also a motivational personality within the community. She is volunteering distressed children and infant international Australia branch over 5 years. Faima is a very much involved culturally within her family and friend circles, as well as she is very active to support any women in need. Her special interest in music and acting is remarkable. She is living with her husband and 2 sons in Kellyville. I will introduce her now. Let's welcome Fahima.
Hi, Assalamu
Hello.
alaikum, and good evening, everyone. I will also, talk in my language like Bengali and definitely with English as well as. Okay. So thank you so much. First of all, first thing is Aliza Ajad Rahman, to us as a Tumpa. And thank you, your the news portal, the Arrongo, to that give us the opportunity to attend this such a important topics and to discuss with all of us. So that's the thing. Okay, so let's see the other
Thank
speakers.
you. I will. Thank you, Fahima. I will get other speakers and I will come back to you to know more about yourself. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's introduce Shahnaz Parveen. Shahnaz is a general practitioner as well, with 21 years of work experience, currently working at Railway Road Medical Center, Quakers Hill, and her special interest is in women's and children as well, and their health, mental health, and she looks after a wide range of culturally diverse population with myriads of health issues. She worked throughout the COVID pandemic period, the most challenging period which affected almost everyone in one way or another. She lives in Sydney with a husband and 2 daughters and very much involved in activities within the community. She is also a poet, a singer, as well as recently she has published her poetry books. So let's introduce Shahnaz.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum to the distinguished guests
Walaikum
and
assalam.
also the audience. It's a privilege. Thank you so much, sweet sister Eliza Azad Rahman and Arrongo, for inviting me to attend this auspicious occasion to discuss a very sensitive issue of domestic and family violence. Especially in recently, we lost one community member, a very young member who was aspiring to be a doctor as well. So it totally saddened the whole community, including me. So it is the right moment in our community to discuss issues so people can take actions in future so that these occurrences does not happen. And my heartiest condolences to the family so they can get over the shock or of her demise. I will be looking forward to the other speakers and looking forward to that important discussion. Thank you so much, Tumpa.
Thank you so Thank you so much for Shahnaz for actually coming tonight with such a short notice. We much appreciate that as well. Now, our associate solicitor and has worked in law firms for over 25 years, spending most of those years at Calderwell Martin Cox, working primarily at the practice, and the areas she is covering is actually family law and litigation. Sarah now principally practices in the area of family law out of a genuine desire to assist her clients navigate through some of the most difficult and challenging periods of her life. Sarah's realistic and down-to-earth approach ensures that her clients are well advised as to outcomes and, of course, the expectations to enable them to engage with confidence in the legal process, whether that is via negotiation, mediation, or in the court system. Born and raised in Camden, Sarah is extremely proud to be part of the local community where she has chosen to remain and raise her family. Here we will introduce Sarah. She is a board director of New Generations and Vocational Service and the charter member of the Rotary Club of Gregory Hill's Next Generations and a member of Southwest Networking Group as well as keen supporter of Camden Rugby Union Club. Here we go. We will get Sarah on our screen. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Eliza, and hello to everybody. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to speak about and to hopefully assist some people with a topic that I'm quite passionate about. Having worked in the family law field for a number of years, of course, domestic violence is something I see all the time. So I'm very happy and honoured to be here tonight, and I hope to be able to answer your questions and hear a lot from our other special guests tonight.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Now we'll go to Melissa Monteiro. Melissa is the CEO of the Community Migrant Research Center. Melissa advocates on behalf of vulnerable clients, groups, and representing their interest to all levels of government. Melissa is currently the chair of the Settlement Council of Australia. Based in Canberra, she is an experienced and well-established expert in the field of settlement, having gained experience across several community issues and causes over the last 25 years. She is a gem, and I will get her on the screen now. Lisa.
Hello, Eliza, and good evening to everyone and to all of everybody in the audience as well. Thank you for having me. I am looking forward to this discussion, but I'd really like to start by saying that, first of all, thank you for having me at a time like this when the whole community is grieving for the loss of this young girl. And I really like to pay my respects to her family and just the tragedy that has sparked so much of emotion in the community. We remember her and may her soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I really appreciate your time as well. And I will get next speaker now, Rosemary Karaoke. Rosemary has been honored as an Australian of the Year 2021 Local Hero. By profession, Rosemary is a multicultural liaison officer of New South Wales Police. Rosemary dedicates her life to helping refugees, migrants, and helping them overcome emotional abuse. It is found that Rosemary is called Big Mama Rosemary in her community. It is because she has made a lot of contributions to volunteering for her African community. What makes her feel so good is when she sees people overcoming abuse and violence and stand up on their own 2 feet and smile. That's where she becomes utterly satisfied, and that's why she likes doing her work. She has partnered with the African Women's Group and started African Women's Dance Dinner Dance 14 years ago. And as for Australian of the Year, that act has brought over more than 400 women who attended its annual event. With a documentary subject called Rosemary's Way, the Kenya turned Australian native made it to Australian of the Year, a non-profit Australian government-owned social enterprise. I am honored having Rosemary among us tonight. Let's introduce Rosemary. I think Rosemary is having issue to join. Yes, I can see that she's having problem to join. We will get her on the screen as soon as she is available. Okay, I can see she was here, but she's having problem. So we'll get her when she is coming again. Now we do have a survivor among us, and she has faced the tough time within 2 years on her arrival in Australia. Here I will introduce Sabrina Barry. She is actually local hero of the Blacktown Council, and she won that award in 2021 for sharing experiences for gender-based violence and promoting gender equity across Blacktown Council. She came to Australia with 6-month-old baby boy with dreams to have a wonderful family in Australia, and she felt the most secure place to live here with the family. And sadly, she completed her LLB, LLM from the University of East London, England, worked as a junior legal assistant in Bangladesh. Still, she had faced the traumatized that later on. Here we introduce her on the screen, Sabrina Barry.
Assalamu alaikum and
Sabrina.
good evening.
How are you, Sabrina?
Yes, I'm fine. Good evening. আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি সকল স্পিকারসকে and যারা আজকে আমাদের প্রোগ্রাম দেখছেন তাদের সবাইকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you so much, Sabrina. I will get Rosemary on the screen now. Rosemary just joined us. I think there is some sort of a technical issue we are facing. I will add Rosemary now. Okay. There is probably a technical error going here. Sorry, that may be the reason we cannot actually get Rosemary. Let's start talking with each guest, and then we'll move forward to Rosemary when she comes. I believe there is an error happening from her end as well. So let's hear about Fahima. From Fahima, what are the barriers of subcontinent peoples of disclosing domestic violences or talking about their emotions or any crisis, what they are going through within their family life? Can you actually explain that? Have you came across as a doctor, GP ever?
Yeah, of course. This is why actually the violence actually happening. Okay, so the main thing, it is actually so many, but I can tell you a few things, and I'll tell you one of my very recent experience. Let's start first. What are the major thing? Number one, you can tell the language barrier. Okay, so when brand new person is coming from overseas, not all of them are actually can talking in English. So there is a language barrier there to explain their the trauma to to get the help. So language is there, and the feeling of shame, that they don't want to talk about their very personal life to other, even though it is traumatized, even it is mentally, sexually, and the physically they are having get the abused by the abuser. There is other things like not ready actually to break down the relationships, especially the women who is having children, so feeling very much insecure, to get to if the relationship break down, how this person can survive in the community. There is a barrier about the cultural, religion, and in every sector. unawareness about actually initially, even though they think this could be their normal life, to abuse by, the partner. So they even can understand that it's actually, her life is actually getting that abusive relationship. They even don't understand. But when they understand, it's already too late. So not only the physical, actually mental abuse, I will tell that's the more damaging, and this is more aggressive. I can tell you the very recently I can tell the women came to me, and really I can see the faces, upsetting, very much upsetting. And just want to tell, I want a documentation. So it's okay, what sort of documentation? My shoulder is painful. Okay, all right, that's fine. So can you move? And then I just did the initial, the examination, but I didn't open the clothes at that time. And when she told that, no, I can move everything, but it is something underneath. I was okay. Can you show me your, the wound? Can you show me? And then I saw that it's a really very blunt, the damage plus fingerprint and everything. Then I realized, okay, is it? But she didn't mention, first 10 minutes about it. She just want to write down, it is, my shoulder is painful, my having this and that. And I was, preparing to do some investigations. The shoulder pain is so common, tearing of the tendons and this and that. But see what came up. As soon as I saw there is a damage, and then I digging. So why you want to just do medical certificate about it? Then she just told that, okay, it happened 4 days back. Then she told, yes, I don't want to put it anywhere else, but I just want to write down in your notes. Okay, I'm doing that. But did you invoke the police? I did, but I let him out. I'm so surprised. So on the bail, that person let out because of she has 2 years old. Nobody is there to look after the 2 years old. So she just let this guy to from the jail 2 days after, because nobody there. So this actually, as a doctor, I should not be very much emotional or anything, but we are still human beings. So I feel that it's so traumatized, and I asked the help and this and that, but she was so rush. She even don't want to just don't want to anything. Just write it down. If I need any help, okay, I'm here, I can tell, you need anything. So no, I already talked with the police, but I just want this man at home. She did a good job. She needs somebody at least at home. See, this is not a one case. It's everywhere it's happening. It's not only the overseas Tumpa. I think in Caucasian it's happening too, but their approach is different, and they deal in different way, right? But the overseas, or if you say the immigrant, because of their so much, the barriers there, their expression is different. But as if I follow your topics today, everybody should know to say to know to this kind of the violence, and raise up their voice. And we have there's so many respected guests here, lawyers, and I think the social worker and everybody around is our community or around our reach. But the problem is we don't want to share, we don't want to tell. So when it is time, it's already too late to damage emotionally, physically, and everything. So basically, yes, we have to say no, and we learn to say no. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fahima. It's really a brutal story to hear when things happen, but we have to know when we can say stop it. That point, we should actually have that sort of communication through the services or awareness programs. So let's see how we can improve it by talking about these regularly. And continuously. So it is not something to tell. People are not comfortable or shy to tell. So that's how it needs to be practiced, a regular basis, that we can talk about domestic violence. It is not something that I have to tolerate for certain years, and then I have to make my decision against going whole family. No, this is somewhere we are standing at. Thank you so much sharing this real story that you faced. So I saw a couple of times Rosemary is still trying to log in. Every time Rosemary is trying to log in and we are being disconnected. So some sort of a network issues happening from her end, that she's getting problem with the network. So maybe that interrupting from somewhere. I really feel bad for Rosemary. Hopefully she will manage to join soon. So I will hear from Naj at this moment. Shanaz, I'm so comfortable telling or calling you by Naz. Naz, I want to hear the story, what actually happened during this pandemic. You know, the people had already so much crisis and some sort of a silent domestic issues there. And suddenly, probably, we started hearing many cases during that time. And the percentage has actually raised 1.2% comparing to previous years. So do you have any stories to share or anything that you want to talk about during that pandemic period?
Thank you, and I'm more comfortable to call you Sister Tumpa. I'm happy to talk about it, but it's a sensitive and sad issue, though. We as GPs come across quite many cases that we suspect, and when we bring the subject about, women always try and avoid, and they do not either want to let their extended friends and family to know, also not to press charges. They don't want to go to police. It's not only in our community, I have come across the Caucasian patients. I'll tell you one of their stories, but you asked me to talk about domestic and family violence, and especially in the COVID time, why the numbers has increased, and not only the numbers, the severity of the violence has increased as well. So any behavior that is violent, threatening, or controlling towards the other family members, which threatens their safety, can be considered as the domestic and family violence. So as you mentioned earlier, 1 in 6 women experiences this in Australia, and surprisingly 1 in 16 men also experiences some sort of violence. We are disadvantaged because of our structure. We earn less, and our socio-economic status as women is always behind men. So the statistics makes sense. But during the COVID lockdown period, quite a few issues has impacted. Number one, people lost their jobs, so they got into financial difficulties. Stress increased quite a lot inside the family. They were forced to work from home, so they had to cohabitate, whereas they used to get freedom. Like, men used to go out, and after work they used to spend time with their friends, and whereas women also had their some sort of freedom. So they were forced to cohabitate. And the abusers also found another point of COVID, like you have to isolate. So already the women and children who are feeling isolated, and they are scared to contact family and friends, they are feeling the abuse. On top of that, they were isolated more due to the COVID pandemic lockdown. So these are the factors, and in this background, we can consider more physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse on women. We almost try and forget financial abuse is an important thing that happens as well, and also spiritual abuse. This sort of abuse has been happening. This is also only the tip of the iceberg that we see, where a person dies. A person has to die before a family or women comes to the police. So I'll tell you a story about a 38-year-old. It's not a teenager, 38-year-old Caucasian lady who did a respectable job, earned quite a lot of money. She had 2 children, 8 and 10 years of age, and was in a relationship. And she went to a party, and her drink were spiked, and she was in the toilet there. She thinks she remembers being tortured by her own partner and friends. A few days later, she comes to me. For amongst other things, she was comfortable with me. So amongst other things, she was discussing that she was very, very upset. She was not her normal self. Then she divulged that information, and I asked her, did you go to the police? And she said that I was quite drunk, and I don't remember the events. I don't remember the faces, and I don't have enough evidence now. She didn't go to the police, and when I was encouraging her to go to the police, she refused, stating many, many excuses that she had. But there is a positive story. I saw her 6 months after she came to me for other reason, and she looked much happier. She left that partner and was living independently. She had the capacity to earn quite a lot and to provide for the kids. So it was a good decision, and she was able to do so. In some scenario, people are unable to do so, especially females, and especially in our community, there is a huge cultural taboo on women leaving the family. Men can leave the family, and it is not looked down upon as women. Women has to be there, even if they are working and providing for the family, they can't leave the family, husband or children. She looked, if the woman leaves the family, then she will be looked down upon by her own family as well. This is such a cultural taboo in our community. So it's a very, very difficult and sensitive issue. That's why we only see the tip of the iceberg. So as GPs, I'm sort of we keep an eye, an extra eye. We are very sensitive. We look carefully at the stances, or just ask whether they want to add anything, or otherwise we are going to miss a lot of the things. And also the family and friends communication has to go on, because they are the first contact where a person who's having abuse can come to. So if the abuser is closing all the avenues of friends and family contact, it's very difficult. So it has to come from the friends and family to keep contacting if they suspect that somebody is having some difficulties. So yeah, there are other ways that we can help. We can, if people know 1-800-RESPECT or Lifeline, or support services in the community, or the child support services. But the family and extended family and friends are of utmost importance. So they need to keep contact, keep liaison, keep supporting. Women may not be ready today. At some point, they may be ready. So we cannot force them, but we have to keep liaising. Otherwise, we are gonna have these sort of sad stories to tell. Okay, I'll stop now. I'm sort of wanting to hear from others.
Thank you so much, Naz. It's really good to hear those stories from you, Fahima. It's amazing, like how they are going through it, and you are facing the real scenarios and is there to help them. But it is also difficult for you, I believe, psychologically dealing with that trauma that they are going and support them at the same time. It is, I think, lots of strength you need, and of course you are a strong woman to support that, and I believe we will hear more important things from you in upcoming discussions. So let's move to, at this moment, let's move to Melissa. Melissa, what you want to talk about today, being a CEO of particularly the area you work in, it's full of migrants. And those migrants, how they're suffering, what barriers you are finding there, and what sort of preventions you are looking into. Can you please let us know? You're on mute, Melissa, sorry. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Now we
Sorry
can
about
hear
that.
you. Yes.
You can? Okay. Once.
That's okay.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Once again, I know my time is very short and limited, but I'd like to talk about 2 or 3 different things today. I won't go into the causes because I agree with all of the previous speakers about the language barriers, the shame, the fear, the status, the cultural, religious, etc., etc. So, can I just say that I'd like to talk, Eliza, more today about what the initiative that I have taken about 2.5 years ago, even before COVID could start that year, when I am the CEO of a medium sized organization called the Community Migrant Resource Center. And for very many years, I have been working with women. And it was only till about, say, 3 years ago that it really struck me how women from the Indian and the Indian subcontinent, which includes, all of the communities, including Bangladeshi, Sri Lankan, etc., Indian women are facing huge issues as we've just outlined. So I was just thinking, and I brought together a group of 12 to 15 women professionals to join me, and we set up what we call the Indian Women Empower. Today, I want to talk about help is available, where to go. Yes, I agree with all of the speakers, it must stop. But what I feel is compounding this whole situation is this is a time where we are in Australia. Women in Australia are, as you can see, the stats, and we've said, one woman losing her life every week. I find that in the subcontinent, with women from our backgrounds, I'm an Indian woman, and I know that in my background, there are women who are not coming out because of fear, the financial issues because they're fully dependent, because of the status, because of the control, etc. So we deliberated with a group of 15 women. I have deliberated for over 2 years as to what would be the best way and the best approach to provide these services and support to women. So we set up this IWE group, which is the Indian Empower Women's Group. Now, when I say Indian, it is not only Indian, it is for the community. It is for the whole of the subcontinent that I've said. I have routed it through the CMRC. And our vision is now to empower all women from all backgrounds, including professional, housewives, etc., to address this issue of domestic and family violence. But we have related it more with unemployment, helping women to navigate the employment part of it. Very often they are facing a double challenge because they're facing the challenges of the domestic and family violence in the house. That is leading to low self confidence in themselves. They are probably unemployed or underemployed, but we found after our deliberations that it was very helpful for women to have meaningful employment. It was important to create a strong circle of vibrant women, and we're calling it the culture of women today. We're calling it the culture of sisterhood, where women help women, and women help women to create strong, vibrant women and families by reducing this family inequality and strengthening the relationships in the family. I agree with all the previous speakers. I am talking more from a point of view of addressing the issue, what can be done. As GPs, it is really very, very great to hear what you are, you said, doctor, you just said that you're on the lookout, you're keeping an eye out. Please make those referrals to our organization. Tumpa, the CMRC have in the last year secured 3 specialist DV prevention officers. If a woman is going through some a situation like this, and you don't know where the community don't know who to refer them to, so we've got a very, very specialized service that the CMRC now is offering to anybody from any background. All they need to do is to make contact with us. So like I said, I don't want to go into the details and repeat the causes of domestic violence, but I think it's important to talk about how we can now help them to have safety in their homes, how we can change and lift this unequal relationship. Also, I find that there's a commonality that I want to say in the whole of the subcontinent, that the relationships with the spouses, I really think that the status part of it is very, very common. It is hidden, and women will do anything to hide it to keep the name of the family up. She will not disclose to family. Close family sometimes is the last people to know, only because of the shame and the fear, and the fear of the name of the family going. And so I think all of us together as a collective, what I'd like to say is that we have to help women to seek help at the right time. In fact, in the audience here, and I'm hoping that she could have been part of a speaker today, is Dr. Renu Nachal. And she's also a member of IWE, who set this group up as a founding member of the IWE, Indian Women in Power. And she is also very keen, Eliza, to be actually speaking about this, because she has also gone through it in her own life. And she is in a place where she really wants to give back to the community and to create that awareness among women, because she is doing a lot of research as well at the Western Sydney University. And we are forming those partnerships. It is the whole of the subcontinent. It is not an issue alone. The cultural factors are not just Indian, but it is the Indian subcontinent. And together, I think we can help women gaining communication skills, being job ready, grooming women. I'm just giving you all the information together. And lastly, Tumba, we have partnered also with Global Sheroes, which is a mentoring program. And we are offering today to you on this show, this mentoring program, where women can mentor women and help them to get out of the situation that they are in a very confidential way, helping them in building their skills, helping them and giving them that confidence to get back onto their feet. Have I frozen? Can you hear me? Yeah. Eliza, you are frozen. Okay. Can you, if you can put it up there, or I'll leave my details there for women to make contact with the Community Migrant Resource Center. We're a not-for-profit organization based in Parramatta, and we're a medium-sized organization with about 150 staff and contractors. We provide settlement and settlement services to newly arrived migrants and refugees. Today, I spoke about IWE because that is the topic that you asked me to speak more about, which is more relevant to women that will be listening to the show. So if women are out there who are fearing their life, if they need help, like Rosemary, and Rosemary, it was a sad thing that she couldn't join in. I hope she can pick up the phone, or maybe you can get Rosemary and Dr. Renu Nachal in the next time, because they'll really
Yes,
have something
absolutely.
valuable to
Yeah,
add.
Rosemary.
Yes.
Rosemary is sad. She's constantly saying that I am missing the whole part.
I
And
know,
that's
Rosemary, I'm
sad.
feeling terrible that she couldn't join us, but Rosemary has supported the CMRC in Parramatta, which is a community migrant resource center, for the last 20 years. And we've done a lot of good work with Rosemary, with supporting the African women group, with the dinner dance that Rosemary done, with her role and work in the police. Rosemary is a person who brings those women to the CMRC and says, Melissa, help, I have done my bit now as the police, and now she says the referrals, the process has happened, the cultural exchange has happened. So I'm looking forward to hearing Rosemary the next time. Okay?
Thank
And we're
you
happy
so
to
much.
take any questions.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I really appreciate your time and that wisdom that you are sharing tonight with us. We'll go back to Sarah. And Sarah, what legal obligations you think that women have to protect themselves from this kind of violence? Do you believe that women should take steps to protect themselves, or there is a lack of knowledge that they are not taking that initiative?
There's definitely a lack of knowledge, and I see that across the board, across all cultures. A lot of women, when they come to see me, they've experienced that violence before they've stepped foot in my office. The women that I get to see are those very brave women who have just taken that big step to move from the husband or get away from the violence, or are very close to taking that step. So I would say that to any woman that's in this situation, knowledge is power. I can't stress that enough, that if you know what your legal rights are, that starts you off in a very powerful position, and no matter what point you are in your relationship, even almost I would say in a good relationship, just to know that at some point if something does go wrong, that I find that the abusers, as we talked about before, what all the different types of family violence are, it's cutting you off from money, cutting you off from your family and your social connections. And then not to mention the of course, physical and emotional and all the other abuse. And of course, the fact that your children are bearing witness to that as well. And that's also a form of family violence. So I definitely believe that knowledge is power, and actually knowing what your legal rights are. So that's something that I am very passionate about as a childhood survivor of family violence. It took my mother a number of years to escape a violent relationship from my father. And again, it comes back to that familial thing, that she didn't want to put a bad name on the family and those sorts of things. So it took her a very long time. The police used to get called to the house, all sorts of things. So to know that there is a justice system there that does support women, there are a number of things that can be done, and women have rights in our legal system here. You're not frowned upon when you step into a solicitor's office or you step into a court. Most family court judges have been family law solicitors before they've become judges. And there are a lot of female judges in the family court system as well. Obviously, you can't pick which judge you have, but it really doesn't matter, because the system does strongly support women and children who have been subject to family violence. And as lawyers who act for people in those situations, we do strive to do our best to make sure that not only are our female clients protected, but their children as well. So that we try and assist with all of those things, both with, men will say, if you leave me, then I'll take everything, you'll get nothing. And at that point, sometimes people are so abused that they don't realise that they do have entitlements. They feel so downtrodden and they just don't know that there is a way out. And I think too, it comes back to the support systems that Melissa talks about that they've got in place. That's such a wonderful thing if people know that they've got something like that there to take the first step. But I think it all ultimately comes back to us all as women being friends to other women, listening out for when your friends seem, you know, that I can't go for a coffee today because we don't have money, or my card's not working, or I don't have the card. Just even simple little things like that can give you a little insight into, well, perhaps something's not right there, or suddenly your friend's not taking your calls anymore, or those sorts of things. So that's what I see as an impediment to women accessing the justice system. So it's good, if we can, to try and disseminate legal knowledge to women within our community as a whole, just to know that there is a system out there and that you would be able to move forward with your children and hopefully start a new and a much better life.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It is something very important. I think there is a scary feelings between the women police authority or legal side of this, or maybe the whole idea is just more likely, I don't have money, I cannot afford to pay a lawyer. So that may be another issue. So this is somewhere we have to focus on some sort of a communication, at least to get support from the legal aid. But there is a restrictions in legal aid as well, that who can take his support and who can't. So in this case, I have a small little ideas to share with you, Sarah. Do you know anywhere the people can actually just go for a free consultancy rather than legal aid somewhere private? Because legal aid only can support for certain like people, like certain
Yes, that's right.
certain
yes.
cases, not for open for everybody. So
No,
do you know any legal practice that they are offering some free consultancy in regards to domestic violence or any sort of support?
I am based out in the Macarthur area. So where I work is predominantly southwest of Campbelltown. So I'm around Gregory Hills, Narelle and Camden. But out here we have the Macarthur Legal Centre that provides free advice to members of the community. Both you can attend face-to-face or you can telephone. But there are a number of services throughout the region. I'm sure there would be one at Parramatta, and I'm sorry I don't know what that is, but there certainly would be. There are also, if there are women who actually, for example, are fortunate enough to be in a position where even if the home is in the partner's name, and that is, of course, if there is real estate, that solicitors will act for you, because, as it sounds terrible, but they can actually take their fees from part of your property settlement. So know that it can be funded that way, that you would not have to pay fees up front. And it's something that a solicitor would address with you very, very early on. If you can't access legal aid, that there are other ways that you can access the system. The court system itself also, there are solicitors based within the court who can assist you on the day if you need it. And there's also counsellors within the court system that will assist you there as well. There are security guards in the court too, so that if you felt unsafe or have any concerns, you can flag that immediately with the court. There are separate entrances you can go in and out of at the courts. But at the moment, the family court isn't actually sitting in the courtroom. So if you're going to court, you don't actually have to even face your spouse at the moment. You would be in your solicitor's office, and we're doing it just like we're doing this. This is how we do court at the moment. It's how we do mediations and things as well. But yes, there are a number of ways that you can obtain legal advice or indeed assistance through a legal court case if you needed to.
Fantastic. Sarah, I had Sabrina here to talk about her experience, what she has been through getting legal support from the legal aid, as well as in her situation, what obligations she had, and of course, some sort of restrictions that she had to follow through. Luckily, she could survive. So I'm here to get Sabrina on screen. She was also struggling to turn her camera on, but let's see if she can hear us. And Sabrina, are you there? Sabrina, you need to unmute yourself. She must be struggling to unmute her. we have noticed that many times Rosemary tried to get in. Every time she was entering, there was an issue. I feel really bad that not having her today. She was the one who could talk about that more in detail, as in her personal life, as well as the experience going through with the community at this moment. She's supporting I think, quite good number of domestic violence victims that she's looking after. So I will get Q&A session now to get two of our audience who are waiting discuss or ask some questions to our speaker, as well as want to share about their thoughts about this program and their experience in their personal life. So I will get Renu Nacho on the screen now. Renu, can you hear us? Hi, Renu. It's you need to unmute, and now I can probably be able to hear you. Can you hear us? Fantastic, but we cannot hear you. Can you check your volume, Renu, please? She's unmute from, I can see there. Okay, let's try with Chitra. Chitra Iyer is another audience that really want to speak to our speakers today, and also wants to share her story with us. So I'm adding Chitra on the screen now, while Sabrina and Renu is fixing their sounds.
Eliza,
Hi, Chitra.
Renu is unmuted. She can't get out of unmute. She wants to speak, but she was unmuted. She was muted from your end. That's what she just said. Sorry, Chitra, I didn't mean to break in.
No. I can see that she's not unmute. Okay, she's not on mute. No.
Carry on, Eliza.
Thank you so much. All right. Can you hear me? Chitra, you need to unmute it from your end because it is not from my end though. I would request you to then come back and join if you can, please, Chitra. Thank you so much.
Eliza, I had sent the same link to Chitra and Renu. Maybe that's why they can't join in. They're saying yes, both of them. So maybe they can't ask questions. But Renu has put up her question there, Eliza. She said, I wanted to ask, as mandatory reporters, what steps have the GPs taken to report matters to the police?
Fantastic.
That is by Dr. Renu Nachal to the doctors here.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay.
I can hear you.
Hello, Renu Achal. It's nice to see you. Nice to see you, Chitra, as well. So it depends on the type of the domestic violence that the women and children are experiencing. In cases of life-threatening situations, or we obviously seeing evidence, then of course we have to contact to the protection services, especially with the child protection services. We contact immediately with any sort of signs or suspicions that we sort of directly cannot diagnose, and there is no recognition from the family. Then we refer to the child protection agencies to take on board and then investigate further. In other case scenarios where there is, we feel that there is depression and anxiety, the women seems to suffering from the emotional part of the abuse, or maybe physical, that there is no evidence when they are presenting to us. We keep them as regular patients, follow them up closely to make liaison with them. So at some stage, they might come up with the stories that they are suffering from, and then take it from there. Whether they need family support, whether they need to be referred to the women's refuge. I have seen one lady in Bangladeshi community who was suffering emotional abuse for a number of years, probably 11, 12 years, as I remember. And she couldn't leave the family. At last, she decided to leave the family, but she was scared of threats from the husband. So in that case, she was taken out of her house without letting the husband know. So it was done by the Women's Refuge. They provided her with temporary accommodation, helped her to find accommodation, provided her with legal support. Although the husband was rich enough, had a big house, and he needed all those support because of the threat that she felt on herself. So she went to Women's Refuge and then got the counselors to have psychological counseling, and she had security as well to go to the court. So it depends on how they are presenting, and then we take on board and try and support as much as possible. Thank you. And I don't know whether Dr. Fahima Sattar wants to add anything. Now that I know about this community, your services, I'll be willing to refer my Bangladeshi. I see a lot of Indian patients, so I'll be willing to talk to them if they want referral. Of course, I'll refer to your lovely service that you are providing. Thank you so much for providing that service for our women.
Oh, thank you so much. I can unmute now. It is very important questions, but there is a two kind of, the actually things is hidden in there. One is children abuse and the adult abuse, two different things. So mandatory reporting for the child abuse, it is very easy for us, like to get, the mandatory reporting to the police. But in adult case, there is a bit difficulties. Okay. So in that case, if it is a very major psychological trauma, in that case, we may we can step in to do the mandatory reporting. But in other cases, it is actually with delicate issues. It is very really sensitive issues, and I think it is a legal issues as well to do the mandatory reporting as a GP. So if it is anything, as I mentioned, it's a life-threatening or something like that, then yes, we can. But in otherwise, it is kind of a bit sensitive, because you can see the most of the women, they are abused so many years. But again, the fear of everything, fear of losing the house, community, they are shameful to their own community, even their own parents. So they want to share that. So in that case, even though I'm seeing there is a traumatized person, but there is a barrier for us to do the mandatory reporting. But the children case is different. So yeah, that is my answer. Renu, thank you.
Thank you, Fahima. I just wanted to answer one question that I got from the audience, that how we can disclose our information to someone with the privacy. The reason is some cases when they open up themselves, and that become a very hot talk within the community. In that way, if this is the case happens, breach of privacy, what action they can take?
Very good question.
There aren't actually any privacy laws in Australia, and particularly in New South Wales, and it's a real problem that we find with these cases, and they are quite sensitive. Word gets out among the family and the community and things like that. Unfortunately, really the only time that we can do it, we can have a long way down the path in the family court, a court orders restraining other members of the family from speaking about things to the children and or in front of the children. However, if someone was doing something in what we call the public domain, so for example, putting things on Facebook and disseminating information that way, then there certainly are avenues to shut that down. But unfortunately, when it's forming the basis of gossip and the hot topic of everyone in the community, there's very little legally that can be done. But my fellow panelists here may have some other answers there for that.
All right. So in that way, of course, there is a law, but in that way, what sort of particular communication they should do? Is it kind of a defamation which costs them a lot, or is it some other way around they can go ahead for this? Do you have any answer, Sarah?
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the mute. Did you just ask if about defamation? Was that your question?
Or some other way around, they can also take this legal action against the person?
No, there's not really that I'm aware of. As I said, because there are very, very limited privacy laws in New South Wales and even in Australia particularly. It's a bit different to say somewhere like America where they love to litigate everything. I do think that it is a real issue in family law matters, and particularly within certain communities where it becomes such a problem. But at this point, unfortunately, there are no real legal avenues that can be taken other than certain injunctions that you could take through the family court. That's to my knowledge.
And the last questions that, sorry, Melissa, keep going.
I just wanted to add, I just think that women can seek help from non-community members. Very often women don't, because of disclosure, and they know how word of mouth spreads in the community. And because of the issues we spoke about, like shame and the status of the family and the name of the family, people don't disclose it. So go and seek help to places and agencies that have, workers or specialists or professionals that are not from your community. It's okay to seek help. With regard to what Sarah said, I have nothing else to add. It's just sad that, we have not yet come. And I guess we've made so many improvements in this, taken such big steps. But Sarah, we need to fight a little bit more and advocate a little bit more and be, sounding boards up there and take it up at higher levels. Yes.
Thank you, Melissa. The last questions that at this moment, the victim secretly sent that information to ask what is the best solution for them when they're walking out of home, having no roof to spend night. So what is the immediate support system there?
I think this is they can actually seek the support from the social worker. That's the first thing we usually we saw in when we work in the hospital. The social worker is the first thing they have to contact. And then definitely, the next step, the lawyers, or if they're physically and mentally unstable, then, definitely doctors and lawyers. But the first thing for the shelter is the social worker.
So in this case, the social worker, if it's the night time, are they available? Is there any
I think there is a
hotline?
1-800 number. In my knowledge, I think Malisa can tell more.
Yes. So I'll just say two things now. For women that are in immediate danger, and yes, it is good, and go through the 1-800 number, and help can be provided. Whether it is also the police for immediate help and support. But very often we find that women will not even resort to that because of the fear. So there are agencies and organizations, and one of the things that we say to all women is that if they are, in the situation, also don't just leave overnight. And women have to know that they cannot just leave a relationship, because then the anger that they the next morning they may not be safe. So they have to leave when it's safe to do so. You can't just leave, and especially just pack your bags and take your children and go, because he'll trail you and he'll track you to another state. So wherever you are, wherever you flee has to be very safe and not disclosed to anybody. But yes, there is the Lisa Hanem Foundation in the hills. There are women's community shelters. Eliza, I'm happy to give you a whole list of women and girls in Blacktown, in Cumberland, in Parramatta, the Cumberland Women's Health Center, the sanctuary in the hills as well. So I can give you all of this information, and you can help to disseminate that information in terms of the telephone numbers, etc. For today's program, I have put my organization number there. Feel free to please contact us. We have 3 DV specialists. It was too short notice to have them here today.
Thank you so much. Mainly, the topic they are actually in fear about is, and they are concerned about, is the privacy. And once they need it, how they can overcome that fear. And most of the time they become isolated. And of course, the people actually put them aside. And also when then a LBO in place, they have to maintain that sort of social distance of the word we actually know for pandemic nowadays, but they are the one also they have to be isolated within their own secured area, so they can protect themselves from the person. So in this way, the support system is in sort of a confusion, like it's creating confusion, of course, but they're also not well aware of it. There is a lots of lack of knowledge that we can share all these ongoing information through these kind of more frequent programs. And I'm also happy to be a part of this whole lot for talking about domestic violence as well as the women empowerment. We lost today a couple of times these internet connections, and we lost track of discussion as well in between. But whatever we have achieved out of this huge discussion is we can overcome all these issues if we open up ourselves as well. Like we also notify the community that we are here to help you. The doctors, they are there to not to just give consultancy because of your health purposes. They can also help you with your mental state and be the best place and best support for your any sort of abusive relationship. So please feel free to open up to the doctor, the first point of contact, and then also do not be fear to go to legal team or any lawyer or any practitioner, legal practitioner, to open up yourself or to just know about your rights. And looking at the support system that we have, Melissa told us that is kind of a support system sitting there over 20 years that most of the community people don't know. And if we also promote our service widely within our community, and of course become a big, huge group from all subcontinent groups, then we can provide this service across the whole community. And Australia will not suffer like this. Australia will not come as a headline losing young women like this, and it is happening so frequently every now and then, and it's increasing. And I would really love to hear from Rosemary and Sabrina, both tonight. Unfortunately, both of them are not available now. Rosemary just sent apologies and also committed that she will be coming back, and she will talk about that in our next program. So definitely today is not the last program about this domestic violence, that I can assure. And we will get it sorted in different way. The technical error, if there is coming anything that we have to sort it out in advance, we'll do so. But the main focus is within that such a short notice. I was really privileged having Melissa, Rosemary, Renu, Sarah, Dr. Naj, Dr. Fahima, Chitra, as well as Sabrina. It was just a phone call, and everyone actually left their own other commitments and joined this event. So this is a great honor. And I also would like to let you know that we are going to do a vigil for the victims who lost their lives. We are actually organizing this candlelight vigil in February, on next Friday, 18th. So the time has given at 7 o'clock. We will notify to our Facebook page as well as to our portal. I would invite everyone to join, and just let's stand together. Let's talk about it, and don't feel shy if there is any problem. I had one lady approach me yesterday saying, um, my husband was very abusive last year, and by end of the year he has changed. And all I asked how he has changed was in behavior, and he said no, that was influensive. And all I asked what was about, and she said, because I got my in-laws living here, they are very influensive, so every time he's giving more time there, he's becoming more abusive. But because of the pandemic, he couldn't go there that frequently. He couldn't update what is our move and what we are doing in a house. I had little peace in my life. So considering pandemic, in some cases, it was a huge stress for the community, huge stress for the personal life. Other way around, some people had a positive side of that as well. They actually found their good relationship having each other's company peacefully without interruptions. So please help us when we need. Even being a Eliza or being a Arrongo representative, I would be always seek help, and please be there. And I have also shared my contact to contact me anytime here, as well as I will promote all your services, of course, your contacts, if to contact you guys. So we are actually came almost end of the program, and I felt privileged having you, each of you, very valuable community members and professionals tonight. I'm honored, and I really thank you heartily. And I will invite you again in upcoming programs. I believe you will join.
Eliza, can I just say one word?
Yes, please.
IWE along with CMRC is putting up a show called Zindagi 50/50. We would
Wow.
like all of it's a I think it's a play, and I would like to invite all of you to support it. Come and watch the play, and be there. It's about domestic violence or family violence, if you want to call it, and it will be a good opportunity to use the creative arts medium to discuss it as well.
Fantastic, Melissa. And I can see that Chitra probably tried to say something before we go.
Yeah, that's what I just said. It was me.
That's it.
Thank you so much. Renu? Again,
Renu
so
at the
sorry,
bottom of
Renu,
his-
we cannot still hear you. Thank you. We
Bye-bye,
got that.
everybody. Thank
We
you.
got
Lovely
that
to meet
study
you all.
address.
Please share your details
Thank
with
you.
Eliza so we can be
Yes,
in touch.
we need to sort of keep communicating, keep propagating the information that
Yes.
to the women in
Yes.
need. That's the most important thing, the take-home message for me, that the information has to be given to the women so that once they need, they can use that information. And
Thank
bye-bye,
you so
everybody.
much. I will
Thank you,
just quickly
Doctor.
share some
Bye-bye,
important
Eliza.
contact details.
Please.
Thank
Eliza,
you
give
so
us
much.
all their details,
If you
please.
ever
If you
need
can give
help
us.
for any domestic violence counseling service, 24 hours hotline, that's 1800 respect. So all you need to remember, 1800 and respect. That's the number you need to call, 1-800-737-732. So another emergency contact number, 24 hours emergency accommodation helpline, which we got that inquiry before. The accommodation helpline is 1-800-800-588. If you ever need any accommodation, they are open 24 hours. You need to report here, 1-800-800-588. And of course, for any home helpline for being safe or being unsafe, anything that you wish to share about your home, contact 1-800-633-937. Some people feel unsafe in home, just being alone. You can also contact there and find out the solution. And we do have some kids helpline for young people, and they are under age as well as between 5 to 25 age group. You can contact 1-800-551-800. The number is for the kids helpline, 1-800-551-800. And just don't go alone. Please, please, please reach out for help. And our lifeline helpline is 131114. They are always there to help you. And we are here as a community. Add us in Facebook, and we will be always supporting you. Thanks again, everyone, for joining and watching us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.